I, too, was quite liberal during my college years, as we all are. I mean, American institutions are essentially left-wing indoctrination camps, and we know this to be true. You go in, you are inundated with left-wing orthodoxy, and you exit much more liberal than before. We all know this to be true. But then I started thinking, I started noticing many inconsistencies. Why does the media say that he hates the middle class when he established the largest middle class tax cuts in history, when the median middle class income was up $5,000? Why do they say he hates gay people when he wanted to decriminalize homosexuality worldwide? He has gay weddings all the time at Mar-a-Lago, and he was the only president in U.S. history to enter office having a pro-gay marriage position. Not the Bidens, not Obamas, not Clintons, no, Trump. Why do they claim he's some kind of racist when those claims had never been made before he ran for president? And then he's only ever accomplished wonderful things for minorities. Lowest ever poverty rates for Asian Americans, Black Americans, Latino Americans, and women. Highest ever employment rates for women, Latino Americans, Black Americans, Asian Americans. Why do the same celebrities who used to fawn over him, love him, adore him, suddenly think that he's the Antichrist? I'm talking Oprah, Ellen, Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, Mika from MSNBC. They all loved him, and then suddenly they're instructed that he's literally Satan. I'm thinking, if censorship is used to control people and control the narrative, why did they ban the president from Twitter for 2 years, from Instagram for 2 years, from YouTube for 2 years, from Twitter for 2 years? Why did Twitter and Facebook then censor and shadow ban conservative accounts? I'm thinking, why did Twitter censor the Hunter Biden laptop story? Why did legacy media nearly uniformly post negatively about him for 8 consecutive years? So things are shady, and then they use lawfare against him. Lawfare is legal warfare. It's an attempted legal assassination. They weaponize the Department of Justice against the sitting president of the United States. That's never been done before in United States history. They drummed up a bunch of BS charges from some simple paperwork misfiling, one of them, and they turned it into 34 felonies, and they couldn't even go after him because the statute of limitations had run out. So a bunch of lawyers in New York who literally hate him changed the New York law so that they could prosecute him through a legal loophole. Most insane story ever. Meanwhile, they let the Clintons and Bidens off scot-free for genuine criminal behavior. So everything thus far is a lie, and then you listen to his press conferences for 30 minutes, the full 30 minutes, the full hour, and then you go on MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, and somehow they've spun his words around into the polar opposite of what he said. It's like I just saw him deliver a wonderful speech, and now the New York Times is tweeting that he said something horribly discriminatory? What? I mean, a good example of this is the Very Fine People hoax. He explicitly condemned hate groups, explicitly condemned them, and then all the headlines were, Trump condones these terrorist organizations. What? That is the polar opposite of what he did. And then you wonder how they can say he's money hungry and selfish when he refused a salary while in office. Meanwhile, his career politician counterparts are getting richer and richer and richer and richer by the hundreds of millions of dollars. And then they tell all women, they fearmonger them into thinking that there's going to be an abortion ban. Meanwhile, his policy is very clear that he would never enact one. He would veto one if one was enacted. He's always supported the 3 exceptions. And then they fearmonger women into thinking that people are being prosecuted for having miscarriages. Not one woman in the United States has ever been prosecuted for having a miscarriage, and that story about the Ohioan woman was a complete and utter hoax. She was prosecuted for charges completely unrelated to abortion. And then you keep digging and you wonder why the New York Times posted photos of children in cages saying that that was Trump's doing. Meanwhile, those photos were proven to be taken in 2014 under Obama. And then you wonder why Newsweek falsely reported that Trump was in Florida golfing during Thanksgiving when he was literally in Afghanistan serving dinner to troops. So they say he hates every single demographic, even though he's helped literally every demographic. They say he's a woman hater. They compare him to an evil, murderous dictator. They censor him on every platform. They lie about his policies. They try to falsely imprison him, and then they try to kill him in Butler, Pennsylvania. And then one can only help but wonder, why is all of liberal orthodoxy backed by the mainstream media, academia, every celebrity, Hollywood, legacy media, social media, every American institution? Why are we being fed this narrative over and over and over and over when it directly contradicts the truth at every turn? And then I realized conservatives are the resistance. Conservatives are resisting against the big government machine. I mean, when you tune out the narrative, the pieces start coming together. It feels like you've been in the Truman Show. The damn Truman Show. Everything's a false reality. The reality comes down and you see things for what it is. And then you realize just how deep the corruption goes. That is just the tip of the iceberg. People are raging against the big government, dissent-free, uniparty machine. It's a movement.